let's talk about another leader, and still on this kind of, let's call it the inclusive drive. Um, NHL, the National Hockey League. I know Australians, this is something very, 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 very far from us as Australians. But the National Hockey League has been doing an initiative since 2018, which they call Pride Nights, where they are, bringing awareness, and they're trying to make the sport more inclusive and make it more, make anyone that may be gay, that is interested in doing hockey, not afraid because it's a boys' club, all that sort of thing, right? So there's a number of reasons why they've been trying to do these pride nights. And so what they do on these pride nights is, the skaters will come out, usually in practice beforehand, and they'll come out in like their rainbow colored hockey sticks or uniforms or whatever. There's some sort of spray, but just bringing awareness to it. However, recently, talking about kind of, I suppose, boycotts. A few players have recently come out stating that they refuse to participate in the Pride Night activities for a number of reasons. There's been a number of actually. There's been a number. I was gonna read through the names, but let me read through the names because I kind of want to celebrate people that are standing up for what they believe. So now, if I mispronounce any of these names, please forgive me. Ivan Provorov, from the Philadelphia Flyers. He's stated he wanted to stay true, in order to stay true to myself and my religion, which he is a Russian Orthodox. James Raymer from the San Jose Sharks said, choosing not to endorse something that is counter to my personal convictions, which are based on the Bible, the highest authority in my life. Really like how these people are proud to stand up for what they believe in and not follow trends. Eric and Mark Stahl from the Florida Panthers, citing their Christian beliefs once again. Ilya Labushkin from the Buffalo Sabres. He is one of several Russian players that have kind of just sort of said, well, we're kind of at risk back in Russia if we do anything, because it's against the law in Russia to support anything, and they are Russian citizens out here. Andrei Kuzmenko, I think he was also, yes, a Russian winger, and Denis Guranovov from the Montreal Canadiens, once again Russian, stating family reasons. I wanted to shout them out because I think they're leaders. They're leaders that are able to stand up for what they believe in and not cave in. However, Dr. Rod, I would like to play devil's advocate for a bit now, because I don't agree with the Pride Nights. I don't agree with the politicizing sports, and I really 100% support players standing up for their beliefs. If they feel like something they're being asked to do is against their beliefs, great, awesome. But going back on that point that I said before about selective morality, they can be sponsored by alcohol brands, and that's against some of their religions. Like how do we because obviously I don't know, how do we find ourselves as players that they're employed to do a job, they sign a contract, part of the contract it does actually claim that I have been told, some of the reports say that their contracts actually have a inclusive like clause in it, that they have to, make sure that they're inclusive and, to all beliefs and all that sort of stuff and everything like that. They're being paid to do it. So shouldn't they just put up and shut up?
Oh, look, that's a really difficult area because we're talking here about the decisions that individuals make about ethical issues. And look, there are a few, I guess, bottom lines, certain behaviors that somebody who holds to biblical Christianity wouldn't engage in. And, we don't know exactly how people might interpret particular words in a contract. Personally, I don't like seeing anything other than sport intrude into sport. And I think sporting teams should have the very best players engaged, regardless of their political beliefs, their religious positions, and even their sexual orientation. They should simply use the best players, and that should be the end of the matter. I don't like it when corporate sport becomes political or activist, mainly because I think it's letting down obviously some members of their teams, but also some of their fans as well. And people like to use sport to escape from all of that other stuff in life.
Yep.
And I think it really sells a lot of people short. So my hope would be that the corporates in sport would kind of mature past this kind of immature, childish phase of having pride nights and all this kind of thing, and saying, no, look, we're engaged in sport. We will ensure that our policies as regards contracts with players are non-discriminatory, but we are committed to making sure that the very best players are those that we have on our teams. And in other words, let's make sport, not make sport political or activist. As far as the individuals, sorry.
So on that though, what's the difference between a Pride night and an Easter night? Let's say they've got games on Easter. Do you know what I mean? Because you and I both kind of know that, but if you want to actually look at things practically, there is a difference. There isn't really a difference. It's like celebrating.
No, except that it doesn't happen. It just doesn't happen.
Yeah.
Right. That's the big difference. It doesn't happen.
Yeah.
So these people, they're not inclusive at all because they don't celebrate religion, for example. So they're very selective in being inclusive, if you know what I mean. I mean, they're hypocrites. That's what it amounts to. And I think we might be talking about hypocrisy a little later on when we're dealing with leadership lessons from Luke. But they are very selective in what they do. And I suppose, if that's what they want to do, good on them. But I do think that it demeans sports people, it demeans the fans, and it demeans the sports overall. So they would be better off, I think, sort of going through this kind of childish period. But I think it's a good idea to do, again, what the social media influencers tell them they should do, mature through all of that, go back to first principles and stick to their knitting, so to speak, or stick to their sport.
I was trying to really look at this objectively and look at all parameters and go, okay, I know I'm against this, but why? And is it just my selective morality and stuff? And I'm like, okay, so the way that I look at it is it's a sexual choice and it's some may say they're born with it. Let's not get into that argument or whatever, but it is a preference. Does that mean that I was running this through my mind because obviously we believe it's just simply at its core it's a sexual sin, just the same as any other sexual sin, like sex outside of marriage and adultery and stuff like that. And I was thinking, what if we had an adultery night? because I'm sure there's a lot of the players that aren't faithful to their wives when they go away. They're sleeping around and everything like that. Why don't we have a mistress night at hockey as well, and then all be celebrated? And I'm like, that sounds ridiculous, but it's kind of what it is, isn't it? It's really just kind of celebrating. It's look, I'm sure they're trying to be inclusive in the teams and be open to people of all persuasions, let's say. But why do we need to create a night for something and kind of put something up on a pedestal and kind of almost advertise something versus it's okay for us to still love the person, appreciate the person for who they are, welcome them into our group and stuff like that?
Oh, you're looking for a response from me? Oh, I was
Yeah.
enjoying what you were saying.
Well, it may have just been a
Yeah.
hypothetical, but like, let me pose a question to you then. What is, because let's bring this back to us, because obviously we're talking about sports. What is, there might be times that we are called to wear a uniform or wear a sponsor on our uniform or so, I don't know, something, be involved in something that has a logo that we don't agree with or something like that. Like I don't know, there's, you know, what is your advice to someone, let's say a player that doesn't agree with homosexuality? What is the grounds of them not wearing the Pride jersey? The reason why I'm asking this is the reason why I'm asking is obviously there's this argument of like, well, if you don't support it means you're against us and you hate us and all that sort of stuff. Like there's that argument. So how, like, what's your advice to that player that's struggling, or a leader that's struggling with that decision of like, my industry or my organization is forcing me to do this and I don't agree with it? Like, what's your advice to them?
Look, at the end of the day, you've got to go with your own conscience. These issues are very, very difficult, particularly for Christians, particularly for Christians who are trying to live a biblical lifestyle.
Yeah.
There are two different issues, I think, that bear on this. The first is the extent to which you believe that the Bible addresses the whole community versus addresses Christians. In other words, you have to make up your mind about whether or not the Bible is the handbook for Christian living or for living for everybody. Now, to be totally open about it, I'm still a little bit ambivalent. I believe that when we have opportunities to speak up in the public square, say through the ballot box, then that's our opportunity to say, listen, the Bible is offering a particular approach to life. Now, we happen as Christians to believe that this approach is what opens up eternal life to us, eternal life with Jesus. I think we have a responsibility to present that in the public square, and we should not allow anybody to shut us down.
Yeah.
At the ballot box too, we get to exercise a democratic right, a God-given right to vote for a party which we believe will implement policies that accord as closely as possible to what we believe.
Yeah.
But when you consider that Jesus' ministry was to the Jews and the epistles are written to the churches,
yeah,
one might say, look, the Bible is all about how we live as Christians. Part of our living is to present the gospel to the rest of the world.
Yeah.
And we have that opportunity in the public square. We have that opportunity when there are debates just like this that are going on. and we're able to use all the available channels, including social media, to put our perspective. Now, in terms of whether or not an individual should say, I'm not going to wear a particular jersey because it's got a logo on it that I don't agree with, I think that has to be left to the individual conscience.
Yeah.
So I don't think I would try and tell somebody what you need to do. I would say, let's have a discussion about why it is you're at this point now. And let's see if we can disentangle your position in terms of whether or not the gospel should be sort of lived out in the public square and how that should be, versus you feeling, look, I've got a particular opinion. I'm not going to discriminate against anybody because love demands that I be totally non-discriminatory. But if having worked through all of those issues, you decide, in fact, I don't want to be associated personally with a particular logo or particular advertising, then I would say your decision should be not to wear the jersey.
Yeah.
Others, and I'm probably, I guess, in some senses, a bit more liberal than some. But I believe we each are going to have to answer to God for the way in which we behave. And it's a little bit like Paul's advice regarding eating food that was offered to idols, or eating certain foods that were prohibited under the law. And he talked about it being left up to the individual conscience. So I do think where the individual falls is really, really important. And I wouldn't be critical of people who make the decision either way.
Yeah, that's good. So NHL Pride Nights look like they're considering to cancel them. But it is because of backraw. I don't even know the combination of words that I was trying to say there. But there's been an uproar. That's the word that I was trying to find. Uproar from fans saying this just isn't what we're here for. Leave sports for sports. And a lot of players that are not following trends, but they're actually leaders and standing up for their own rights. So make sure you know what your values are, know what your standards are, and stand up for them. Now, you may be challenged by that through your career or through your company or whatever, but make sure that you are leading and leading through your beliefs rather than just following trends. Hey, you've just watched an excerpt from the On the Cube with Leadership podcast. If you've liked that, give it a thumbs up. If you've got any thoughts of how it challenged or helped your leadership, put a comment below, and we'd be honored if you would consider subscribing for more leadership content. Also, make sure you check out the playlist for more episodes like this.